So I'm making this video real quick for Alejo Benitez. He's planning a trip to New York from April 14th to the 20th. It's for his birthday. He wants to leave from Phoenix, Arizona to New York City. And he's got around 140,000 Amex points and not too many Chase points. So we're going to disregard that. And we're going to focus on the flight first. So getting there for cheap with points. And he's traveling with two people total. So him and one other person. So with all that in mind, and the info that he explained down here, which the most important thing is how many points he has and where he's wanting to go within what date ranges. So he was thinking of transferring Amex points to British Airways and then booking with AA using Avios, which is like a backdoor redemption sort of thing, because Amex points cannot transfer to AA, but they can transfer to British Airways and book AA flights. So you would not go to the American Airlines website like this to try and look. You would go to the British Airways site, and then we look for flights like this. And I have this tab open because we'll talk about that in a little bit. I wanted to explain that since Amex points can transfer to JetBlue is another option to get from Phoenix to New York in this case. So I'll show you guys exactly how I did it. Plugged in one way here instead of round trip because we want to break our trips down by each one-way direction to give us more flexibility and more bang for our buck. So PHX is where he's leaving from. I plugged in NYC instead of one particular airport. So there's actually 4 airports that you could consider when flying in. So there's JFK, LGA, EWR, and Westchester. I wouldn't really consider Newburgh, but it's here too. It's all considered in this NYC tag. So if you just plug in NYC when you're looking for a flight, you will automatically be looking at those 5 airports as options. So we click this box up here for using TrueBlue points. You don't have to even be logged in to see this results, but you're obviously going to need to log in if you're going to end up booking. So looking at this calendar, you get to see about 7 days in advance, like before and after. The day of the 14th, not only is it like more expensive than other dates, it's also a red-eye flight. So you actually would be arriving on April 15th. So it's nice that it's a nonstop, but it's overnight. So we're actually going to be a day late if he wants to be there on the 14th. So with that in mind, we're going to click April 13th, and the same flight is available for way less points. And we would be arriving. So we'd be leaving at 10:40 p.m. on April 13th, but we'd be arriving at 6:30 a.m. on April 14th. So that could make sense. I might say that you should even push one day back and look at April 12th, because this flight is only 11,500 points, literally half of what the 13th flight was. So if the dates aren't super important, I would possibly consider moving the New York trip from April 14th to the 20th. Instead, moving it all one day back and going from April 13th to the 19th, if you're still trying to stay those 6 nights, because it's the same exact flight, literally half as much. And yeah, it's a nonstop, so that's great. British Airways did not have any nonstop options that were economy. So on the 13th, the only nonstop option here is business class. And it's like, I believe, 42,000 points. So yeah, in my opinion, not worth it. If we're just trying to get to New York, it's not that long of a flight. I mean, it kind of is, but I would say just thug it out in the JetBlue economy seating, because these points are so low, and use our points for other stuff. The economy seats that were available, they were literally super up there. I think it was, 24,000. I've seen 27,000. So it just didn't make sense. Plus, it wasn't even a nonstop. They had a break in between, and they had like weird flight times. Like you're waking up super early to catch this one, and then it's like 4:50, and you're not even in JFK. You're in LaGuardia. It just didn't make sense to me. So I would lock in probably the JetBlue option. It would just be between, can I go one day early and save some points, or do I have to arrive on the 14th, right, and leave the April 13th? So hopefully that clears up what I think is the best thing to do with points for your flights. You can probably book that ASAP, and then we can move on to the hotel options. I'm always going to rep Hyatt. I wanted to point out this though, regardless of the hotel like brand, so Hyatt or not, I think that the best setup when visiting New York City is to actually stay over here in Jersey City on the waterfront. So there's 2 Hyatt properties here on the waterfront. I enjoyed the Hyatt House a ton when I went. It, in my opinion, has the best view of the New York skyline. So I'm moving through the pictures on the bottom left of the screen here. We'll see if I get the actual skyline view. If not, I'll click deeper into it. But the point is, you're a 3-minute train ride away from the middle of it all, like Midtown Manhattan. So you could easily get there. So you're basically a 3-minute commute. And in exchange for that, you get way more space, a way cleaner property, And I guess the only con is like, yeah, you can't walk out your door and like see all the, stuff going on immediately, like the chaos. But I actually like being a little bit out of it like this and choosing to go in and out with, again, like a cheap train ride, subway that's underneath the river. So here's the skyline. There's a rooftop bar you can visit and just hang out at. The property's super nice. The bottom is like historic. The top is like brand new, and it's a Hyatt house. So it has actual amenities like a house. It's not just like a tiny space. It literally has a kitchen, a microwave, all the, dishwasher, sink, stuff you would basically expect in a normal house. And it's got good breakfast. I really enjoyed my experience here, so that's why I think this is a gem. But this is a Hyatt property, so this might not be in the cards for you because you don't have Chase points, and I'm not sure if you have Bill points. But just that concept maybe could have you look around this area and consider jumping back and forth, because over here, you're still going to get good value if you had these type of points for these redemptions, because we're looking at these points right now. But the prices of these rooms in Midtown is so much for so little. So unless you have points, I usually don't think it's a good option to stay in these areas. Just because, trust me, it's super easy to get here, and you're going to be on foot anyways, and you're going to be outside. It's not even really worth getting a fancy hotel room over here for what you pay, especially because you want to be not in your hotel room. So kind of rambled on the hotel side of things, but that's my decision on the flights option based on having just Amex points. For hotel options, you could look at the Fine Hotel and Resorts tool. Since you have the Business Platinum I saw here, or the Amex Platinum, you can access the hotel collection and the Fine Hotels and Resorts tool because of this. And those are basically, since I saw you have no status, those could let you use Amex points or just cash and go to a hotel and experience a complimentary room upgrade, 4 p.m. checkout, early check-in, and I think $100 or $150 credit at that property. And all that comes with just you booking through that portal. So it's super nice. I believe there's a 2-night minimum stay. If you're going to stay 6 nights, that could mean that you switch up the property 3 different times and you get a room upgrade at a new property, a credit at a new property, and all those features combined. If you want to hop around like that, some people like to just stay put. So you could just, get that benefit once and then lock it in. If you want to like kind of be slick, you could book for 2 nights, and then someone you're going with can book for 2 nights consecutively after. And then you're staying at the same property, but you might be moving rooms, or they might just leave you at that and give you that credit. That's kind of a hack people do. But anyways, those are some options based on what I see here, kind of still service level, but hopefully that was helpful. And I think your next focus would probably be booking those hotels. So do some research on that, the FHR, hotel collection, and then points. Oh, I also wanted to mention before we wrap this up, you could purchase your points with Hyatt, and it could possibly make sense. So right now they have a 20% boost on points, so a 20% discount. So for 55,000 points that you would need, it would be $1,056. I looked up for 6 nights at the Hyatt house. It was going to cost, like, after taxes, like $2,200. So that could make sense, because you'd have to buy like a little under 2 of these, because you're going to want like 90,000 points. So it's going to be 55 plus 35. So, whoops. So it'd be like 1,000 plus this 672, or 1056 plus 672. So it's going to be like 1,700-ish. Versus 2,100 or 2,200-ish. So it actually does make sense if you want to like purchase points just to redeem them at that property. You're going to save like $500 or so. So that could make sense, because you could purchase 55,000, and whoever you're going with can purchase this 35, because you can each purchase up to 55,000 points per year. Or given that, like, if you want to find something that's around that mark, maybe you guys both buy 55,000 each, so you have more points to play with, and you go stay at, a 20,000 night property that is over here, because now you have points to play with, so you can put yourself right in the middle of it. So if you really are like, I don't want to travel back and forth, even though it's only a few minutes, maybe go for these 20,000 point options. If you guys are both going to buy 55,000 points each, that would be prime. And you don't need credit for that. You literally just go on the site and buy. There's even 20,000 night properties up here. And Hyatt properties are almost always like super solid. The Grayson is super well known. A lot of people love the Grayson. Not too much space, but it's in a good location. All these are really dope. Hyatt Place, I'll probably stay away from. You really want to try like one of these other ones. But yeah, so that could be your move if you're going to spend a little more. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna cut it off right here. Sorry for making this a little longer than it maybe needed to be, but I wanted to give every little piece of value that I could find and see based on your situation.